What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi, and we're here for the first AST Happy Hour, bringing it to you live at youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. And what a day to begin, because the Pittsburgh Steelers announced their 53-man roster. It's got some surprises for sure, some good and some bad, and I'm excited to dive into it. It's a beautiful one here in the Berg. I think it was ready to rain all day. Shout out the Pittsburgh Steelers for only waiting about 35 minutes post 4 p.m. deadline to announce the news. And bigger news, happy shout out to youtube.com for not letting us go live an hour ago when we wanted to for you guys. But we're here. We're live. Shout out. How you feeling, my friend?
Good, man. It's happy hour. It's 5 o'clock somewhere right here for the next 10 minutes. And it's a fun day. What a wild, the Steelers. I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they were fashionably late to announcing their roster officially. I didn't realize that was their vibe. But it was a great way to find out, the rest of some stuff, to find out some surprising information about the 53-man roster. Some I just didn't know that they were that cool, that they were. I knew happy hour was today for us, but I didn't realize that
Yeah.
that meant that the Steelers were going to force us to be fashionably late to it as well. You live and you learn.
Yes, sir.
But happy to be here nonetheless.
I agree. And look at, dude, in honor of happy hour, we're sipping on a Ghost energy drink, non-sponsored, Swedish Fish edition. Crack this bad boy open. Don't have a water with it, which means that by the end of this bad boy, I might be off the wall.
He's good.
But I'm excited.
Wired.
We're going to dive into the 53-man roster for a couple of minutes here. Then we're going to start answering all your guys' questions. Make sure that if you're a member or a super chatter, you toss them in there. We'll make sure that we answer all of our members, all of our super chatters for as long as we can before, again, I run through a wall here. But excited about it. What you sipping on? A good old water over there? You're non-drinker, non-coffee. I don't know what you'd bring to a happy hour.
I brought a soda.
At least it's you know what I mean, a little Diet Pepsi with the cherry. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, a little wild cherry action. I'll bring a fun 6-pack to the happy hour. I'll ask my wife what's a cool one to bring. And then if it's offered to me, I'll be like, nah, I'm cool, but I'm happy to be here. And that's how I feel right now as well. So I just have my soda and I'm just happy to be here.
I love it. All right, let's dive into it. The Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster is out. Some surprises. Chuck Clark's the biggest one. Deontay Kent makes it over Beanie Bishop. That's not a surprise for a lot of us. We've been saying that for a couple of weeks, that Beanie Bishop was not going to make this team. Deontay Kent making it over Chuck Clark was a shocker, though. The biggest surprise I think that the Steelers had across the board. We'll start there. Your thoughts on Chuck Clark not making this team, but Deontay Kent, a 7th-round pick who has not practiced or played for all of 95% of training camp and then returned the last 4 days, somehow makes the team. Your thoughts on it?
I remember saying a couple days ago, last week or something, I don't exactly remember when, I'm always so surprised how misaligned what I see on the field, what I see at practice, what you and I talk about, what I hear about, versus what the Steelers coaching staff and management sees and how they interpret it. Because if you tell me, just in a nutshell, that you bring in a veteran when training camp opens, he looks decently good, you play him a good bit, you give him a lot of runway to show you that he still has something left in the tank. And then there's another candidate that you ultimately go with who you have not seen much, but has some talent, and you drafted him recently. It seems to me it's an easy choice. Maybe it's something I just completely overlooked, but I just assumed that Chuck Clark was going to be a member of the Steelers, and I had forgotten, if I'm being perfectly honest, that Deontay Kent was someone who impressed during rookie mini camps and OTAs and things like that, but wasn't really on the field much the past few weeks. And so I just didn't think he was a serious candidate to make the 53-man roster breaking camp. But I am once again very misaligned with what Coach T and what Omar Khan are seeing and interpreting when it comes to making these decisions. So, bit of a shocker, I think, is how I would define it.
Yeah, I look at it as it had to come down to one of two things. One, the Pittsburgh Steelers really didn't see enough out of Chuck Clark. They're ready to move on. They're thinking Jalen Ramsey's their guy, and
Mhm.
Dante Kent is good enough to keep. Or they're looking at it going, who would have been easier to sneak through waivers? And Chuck Clark's was a guy that it was July and nobody signed him, or it was August. It was August and nobody signed
Mhm.
him. He should be able to sneak through and the Pittsburgh Steelers will be just fine. And if that's the case, great. If the Steelers think they could get somebody out, or else like a Tony Jefferson who just got released by the Los Angeles Chargers and bring in another veteran, then I agree with that one as well. But I think that it went one of two ways, that it was either the Steelers really thought Dante Kent's got too much talent, they can't pass this up, or they, for some reason, think it's very easy to sneak Chuck Clark through waivers, bring him back into the 53-man roster if they put Dante Kent on injured reserve, which maybe they do, but I don't like Dante Kent's practiced the last couple of days. So I don't understand where that would come from. Like, why would they, unless he suffered a setback, I just don't understand. Like, you're just gonna say he's injured when he returned to practice. I don't get that one. I don't know the rules of the NFL on that. I don't know what you could. I know the Steelers and every NFL team lies all the time, but I don't know what you can manipulate to work in your favor and how much you can. That's my thoughts on that one. We'll see if it happens. It'll both happen in the next like 24-ish hours. The Steelers will place both of them on, and then they'll add guys through the practice squad tomorrow afternoon, and they will add guys to their 53 that they wanted to claim, and so on and so forth, and begin working there. A lot of moving parts still. On the other side of it, they keep all four quarterbacks. Will Howard is a guy that is going to end up on injured reserve. Your thoughts on if he actually comes back this season? Do you think Will Howard plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025? I mean, and by plays, I mean practices.
Maybe. I think we could see something similar to the Roman Wilson sort of timeline that happened in 2024 being what kind of transpires here for Will Howard. I mean, I don't expect to see him practicing at least through the first 4 weeks, and I just don't see, like, not that Skylar Thompson is such a wildly important member of the Pittsburgh Steelers now after playing well in 3 preseason games against second and third string players. Like, he's very much still entrenched as a backup journeyman quarterback, but like, how important is it to get Will Howard back on the field this year if they start the regular season well and the offense is okay? I'm not sure like how important it is to get Will Howard back on the field because of that. Now, that being said, I just don't, this 53-man roster, the initial one, which I anticipate will change a good bit, the offense still doesn't really feel complete. It still feels like it's missing some playmakers. It feels like it's not going to be a very overwhelming or powerful offense this year still, which can all be proven right or wrong once the games start in a couple weeks here. But in the meantime, I think Will Howard gets lost in the shuffle. It gets lost in sort of the Steelers are kind of moving forward. And while he might be healthy soon, probably sooner than, the IR would allow him to come back for, I don't really anticipate seeing him much a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2025 season. If they go 0-4 or something like that to start the year, I would imagine Will Howard's back, and clears IR and is back on the 53-man roster pretty quickly. But barring that happening, I don't really foresee Will Howard being on the field much for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, it's going to come down to two things. Either the Steelers look at it and say, who cares, whatever, this is totally fine. Or they're going to look at it and say, we kind of faded on the Skylar Thompson hype. This was fun in the preseason, but we're ready to move on. And then they're going to bring back Will Howard to the practice squad. But I think a lot of it, or to the 53-man roster. But I think a lot of it depends on how much he's learning in the classroom and in the meetings and while practicing without actually practicing, and how much the Steelers are eager to say, okay, he's got to take that next step, and we don't really care if Skylar Thompson is here or not. Also, Skylar Thompson around the league. You know what I mean? Because Skylar Thompson's on the 53-man roster right now, but in 3 weeks when teams don't really need quarterbacks anymore and there's not really that conversation anymore, Skylar Thompson could sneak through waivers and end up on the practice squad in 24 hours, and the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have to worry about it. And I think that changes in the next 4 weeks. And I'm not totally shocked about the situation, or I wouldn't be totally shocked about the situation. The wide receiver position is the other one. Did anybody come to Pittsburgh? I mean, Trey Palmer, Malachi Corley end up. Jacoby Myers has one team calling for him. They want the Raiders to take on all their contract. You want to know who that sounds like? Omar Khan. It sounds like an Omar Khan comment if I've ever heard one. Hey, Marky, what's good, brother? We'll keep this short and sweet. We're the only people calling. We'll give you whatever. You got to pay them. And Mark's like, let me look at my backpack. Let me take out the notes here. And nothing. It came down to nothing. Do you see a wide receiver that you saw today hit the market end up in Pittsburgh?
Nope. I'm for happy hour. What I'm deciding to do is just to sit with, maybe gloat in the fact that for months I've sat here and just said, this wide receiver room, the additions stopped at DK Metcalf. The additions are done. Say it all you want. And I've been right with you. Noah and I have so many times, probably 87% of our episodes since I've joined the podcast have been about, is this wide receiver a fit? How can they be a fit? How could they acquire him? It's not that I am not in favor of them adding talent. It's just never felt as realistic as we have talked about, or as so many have hoped for it to be. I think Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson are the guys, number 2, number 3. I think they look at Scotty Miller and think, here's a guy who can contribute. I don't agree, but that I think is the thought process that is happening. And so I don't foresee a Trey Palmer or a Malachi Corley or a Hunter Renfrow. Like, we can get into all of these stuff, and I'm sure everyone has questions about some specific ones who have been released that we can certainly talk about. But for the next, little bit, just going to keep standing on my business here. Steelers are not going to add anyone, and this is it.
Yeah,
here's the bed, lie in it. It's not well made. It's got scratchy blankets, but the bed's made. You gotta lie in it.
It's a messy bed with a lot of short dudes. It's a short blanket. It's a bed with a short blanket and the DK Metcalf with his feet hanging out. That's what it is. That's what the bed is. It's not great. You're looking for more DK room. You want a longer blanket. You can't. They're not out there. They're not out there. And even if you did, what are you going to do? Go get a Trey Palmer or a Malachi Corley and say, hey, Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson 2.0, why don't you just add yourself to the slot? This is Jonnu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, and Connor Hayward. It just doesn't work. Like, they need other guys out there. And I just don't think that Jacoby Myers is the name. You know what I mean? And until proven otherwise, Jacoby Myers will remain the name. Any other surprises before we start answering everybody's questions here on the 53-man roster? Anything that stood out to you? Anything you wanna highlight?
Lot of defensive linemen made it. I'm not concerned about Derek Harmon's injuries or anything like that, or it being longer term than the first few weeks of the season at most, or if that is even what it requires. But how, Logan Lee, not that he was awful in camp, but largely just there, aside from his emergency long snapping situation in the final preseason game. Like, I think that was the only real talk about him. I know Isaiah Loudermilk is a important depth piece, but that doesn't even feel that great coming out of my mouth. It feels like he's more of just a depth piece that's there. Are you concerned at all about any sort of injuries, or are you concerned about any sort of defensive line depth specifically being an issue now that they brought 8 of them to start the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's too many. Logan Lee would have been the guy that made the roster. I think Asesi Adamiwa, if I'm going to guess on how to pronounce that name, looked really good during the preseason. Like, really good. But you have 42 defensive linemen, and Brandon Echols is here to play 17 positions with Dante Kent, your 7th-round pick, who hasn't played since July 25th. as his backup. Like, what's going on? Is Miles Killebrew the third safety, but you brought 15 defensive tackles onto the roster? I just don't. I think at some point you're missing the mark here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I agree with you. I think that the defensive tackles were like an extra one. Cool. 3 extra ones? You really? Are we really? That's where we're going with this one? That's the decision that was made here. I agree with that one. I think that's the why. That's the one. Especially you cut James Pierre. What's going on there? You don't have a backup safety. What's going on there? But you have 2 guys that in Logan Lee and a Sezi, that will never see the field in a game, and they're just here. Like, that one, I agree with you. I think it's a very questionable decision, especially with Wyatt Black looking good, Daniel Ikuwale, Isaiah Loudermilk being reliable. Like, again, you have options. You don't need as many defensive tackles as you have.
Can I be totally honest with you?
Of course.
I had no idea that Isezi Onomewu made the team. You were saying that, and I was like, dude, yeah, okay, yeah, that dude looked good in training camp and stuff, great. And I'm just like looking at the 53-man roster right now, and I'm like, oh my god,
he's on the team.
Yeah, what? Why? Why do they have
team.
3 number 8 defensive linemen on this 53-man roster?
It doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense. It's gonna change a bunch too over the next couple of days, so I guess that's like an overreaction. But like, wow. What a strange way to start off the 53-man roster.
Again, and look at these guys. Some of these guys will get cut in the next 24 hours. Things will change. But if we're looking at it right now, questions for sure. All right, guys, with that said, that's our run through of the 53-man roster. And I'm sure you guys got questions. I know that there are a lot of them out there. Start tossing them in. We're going to answer all of them. We're going to take a 30-second break, and on the other side of it, we're diving into it. Happy AST Happy Hour.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
Alrighty. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Happy AST Happy Hour. Let's get into it. We're starting with Bernard here. Why are fans so pessimistic about this team? I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Bernard. 100% honest with you right here. Okay? Me and Jacob, we jumped on. We were talking while we were trying to figure out the YouTube thing, and I was a pessimistic fan. I was, wow, dude, there are a lot of bad things going on in this roster, and I don't feel great about it. And now that it's in front of me, I'm a little nervous about where the Pittsburgh Steelers stand. I looked at it and just said simply, like, I saw all of this coming. I saw everything coming. But when it was finalized, and I went, yeah, that's actually it, huh? That's what we're looking at. It made me a little bit nervous. For sure. That being said, I still think the Steelers are a very good football team, and I think the defense looks crazy no matter if they have – look, at Chuck Clark might be a little bit of a difference maker for sure, but 11 defensive tackles over James Pierre and Mark Robinson is not a concern for me. Like, that's not changing my mind on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think overall everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I still expect them to contend in the AFC North. I still expect them to be a 10-win team. Like, I'm not suddenly down on their entire season, outlook just because of this 53-man roster initially. But I think there's just head-scratching moves I think are worth being questioned regardless of there is knowledge of, what is to come in the future. And I think this roster was always going to elicit some crazy responses regardless of whatever 53 players they chose. So, I'm I'm fine with being pessimistic for today and tomorrow and seeing how all of these other, roster shakeups go with the crazy
Yes.
waiver wire that is to come. But, I'm okay with being pessimistic for now, but I don't think the season's ruined or anything like that. I think they are still going to be entertaining. And even if they're not very good, which I don't think is going to happen, but even if they're not very good, they're going to be fun to watch.
Yes, I agree. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey are going to make something happen, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. Chris, I agree. We need to trade for Jacoby Myers. Should we offer a player at a low pick or a high pick for him? What timelessness realistically do we have? I think the Steelers can make a trade right up until maybe next Thursday is when I'd cut it off and say, all right, we're getting a little close to this probably isn't going to happen. I would say right up until next Thursday feels pretty good. He would not play in week 1, but right up until next Thursday. Jacoby Myers, to me, I mean, makes a lot of sense. Would you offer a player in a low pick or a high pick or just a high pick for
him? I wouldn't want to take anyone off of this roster. And I
No?
think
not one of the 42 defensive tackles?
No, the defensive tackle depth of the Steelers is what will win this championship.
You are
win
not
in the
trading
trenches.
Logan Lee and Sezi Otomewu and a 6th round pick for Jacoby Myers. Are you kidding me?
If
You're
Las
just not-
Vegas wants to make that trade,
Yeah.
you better. Something's happening that they might be.
Let's bring this up real
they're
quick.
being coerced.
DeMarvin Leal did not make the roster. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Clark did not make the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Sezi Otomewu and Logan Lee did. Shout out to those guys, man. I'll admit this time and time again. I am just a guy on a microphone who talks like I know anything about the NFL. But the guys making the decisions know what they're talking about. Sometimes they're really bad at it, but they know way more than I do. They got to know something, man. I didn't see it. I wouldn't have guessed that. I wouldn't have filled out 100 rosters. If you gave me 100 rosters, 0 of them would have had those 2 names on them. Maybe one or the other, but not both. What are you giving for? You're going pick? You're going player?
I think a nice tidy draft pick takes care of this, and then you can handle the rest. You go, hey, here's a 3rd round pick. You're gonna take care of some money. We're gonna take care of the rest and paying them some more money down the line, and then we'll just go from there. Again, listen, if you wanna take Logan Lee, if you wanna take Isesi Odomewu, if you wanna take Miles Killebrew, maybe not, but if you want to take one of these players and a 6th round pick to make this Jacoby Myers trade happen, I'm all for it. He would solve this glaring issue
everything.
on the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, I think you're going to have to realistically give up a higher draft pick, maybe a 3rd or a 4th or something like that, if you really want to make this happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's tough to give up a 3rd, but I agree. I definitely agree. Devin, do we bring back Deontay Johnson? I don't want to tease this.
What do you think
much.
of that? What do you think of that, Noah?
Jacob's making some comments here because I went on a rant, okay, to this man next to me about how Jacoby Myers aside, and maybe even including, there is not a wide receiver in the NFL right now who is somewhat partially available for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I get it. Everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. And I'm going to bring as much gusto as I brought in this conversation earlier. That makes more sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers than Deontay Johnson does. He makes more sense if he literally just played on Sundays and never stepped foot into the locker room, never spoke to a teammate, never talked to the media, never showed up in a meeting, never complained, you duct taped his mouth shut 24/7, and you'd never put him out on the field during running plays. If you did all those things, Deontay Johnson makes so much sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if he's still good. I have no idea. What I do know is that Aaron Rodgers needs somebody who's a great route runner. You want to know who at one point in the last 2 years was the best route runner in the NFL? Deontay Johnson. You want to know who plays the position the Steelers desperately need and are trying to fill with Gabe Davis and Trey Palmer and Jonnu Smith and Cordero Patterson and everybody else? Deontay Johnson. It just works. Again, are they going to do it? No. But does it work? Yes. It works so well if you just never let them say anything for 365 days and tell them that your contract's voided the moment that you speak ever. Does not matter. If you do all those things, Deontay Johnson makes so much sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Too much sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I just want to read you a tweet real quick from Joshua Cho, who is a fantasy football guy. This is great. Last season, I told you that Deontay Johnson is an elite separator. He is now separated from the Steelers, the Panthers, the Texans, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Cleveland Browns.
Oh my gosh. That's true, yo. That's true. Here's two crazy facts for you, okay? Kenny Pickett and Deontay Johnson were drafted first and signed an extension the same year. Since then, they are on pace to combine for 10 teams in the last 2 years. Secondly, Kenny Pickett is one trade away. He is 4 years into his career. He is entering the final year of his rookie contract. The final year of his rookie. He has not finished his rookie deal, okay? He is one trade away from being tied as the most traded player in NFL history. In NFL history. That is an insane stat. An insane stat. He is, I'm going to say it right now. He is Ryan Fitzpatrick 2.0. And all I got to say is this. Shout out to both of them because Deontay wasn't going to last in Cleveland. He was going to say something at some point. And like Kenny doesn't have to pay income tax. So, you know what I mean? Shout out to our mans. Shout out to the boys. You know, that's what I got to say on that one. That's what I got to say on that one. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Deontay makes, it's never going to happen, but it makes so much freaking sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So much. So much. Logan Blaze here. I blame good old Kaboli for this. Always gets my hopes up. 10 to 12, okay? You want to know what today is, since he said that. It's day 11. It's day 11. It's day 11. We got one more day. We got one more day here, Mark Kaboli. We'll let him know. I'll send this clip to him. He knows. Mark Kaboli knows.
He knows. And I think my interpretation of it was always a waiver wire sort of pickup. You know, it was never like the trade for Terry McLaurin has to wait until roster cut down day, or, you know, if they're going to get Alec Pierce, they have to wait until like it was always like they're going to wait to see if either like Gabe Davis is healthy or if Trey Palmer gets cut or if someone like, you know, a million guys like that got cut today. So maybe it's going to be one of those guys. And I feel like that was always sort of that was my interpretation of what he was saying. But tomorrow's the big day. Otherwise, we can't do 5 big kabooms, you know? Boom.
Yo, you can't do all 5 of them. We're going to get sued. It's going to get
No, I just did one kaboom.
One kaboom.
It's
we not trademarked.
One
everybody
kaboom.
Can have that. I think we should bring him on the show. I think I should tell him to come on the show tomorrow. We'll record live from the thing and we'll just press him. Like he'll come on and be like, Mark Kaboli, we just have one question for you. It's day 12. What the hell, man? What's going on here, pal?
Oh, so you're a liar?
Yeah. And he'd probably be like, you know what? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. And then we'll tweet it out. Lucy, I'm happy for Skylar, but is he trade bait? Is Skylar Thompson trade bait? There are a lot of quarterbacks that got released today. Do you think Skylar Thompson's on the move at some point?
I think he might be on the move as in released at some point. I think the Steelers are holding out hope that some team comes into another situation, you know, either not hoping for injury, but hoping for some sort of scenario where they might need a backup quarterback. And then maybe you just happened to be the right team at the right time. Who's like, hey, I have this guy, throw me a 7th-round pick, you can have him.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be trade bait for anything larger, like, a Jacoby Myers trade, like we were just talking about a minute ago. He's not. There's no trade value there that would be actually difference making in those sort of negotiations. But I think the Steelers are hoping in the next couple of weeks maybe someone just needs a backup and they can offer up their services. Beyond that, I don't really see it. Do you feel any differently?
No. I look at Skylar Thompson right now as a guy that's going to be a placeholder while Will Howard is on IR, which is where he'll spend the next 4 weeks. Chris, guys, are we good on O-line depth in your opinion? I think for starters, it's okay. You need a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Andrus Peat, I think, was a good, surprise make the team guy. Like that move. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to get Dan Skipper. Released by the Lions last night. I like that move a lot. I think he's a guy that could spot start at all times. He plays both sides. He could catch the football, which is cool. I'd go get if I'm the Steelers, I'd go sign Dan Skipper, and I'd feel pretty good about it.
That would be fine. I was genuinely shocked that Andrus Peat made the roster.
Me too. Me too.
I did not anticipate it. Did not anticipate Dylan Cook being one of the final cuts as well. Honestly, another one of those players where I was like, oh, I didn't see a ton of him. It was very limited where he ran with the ones, but thought he did a lot of good work in training camp in the preseason. So I was surprised that he was not one of the tackles, one of the final tackles kept. But I think Andrus Peat at least offers some positional versatility where he's played. I know he made the Pro Bowl as a tackle, correct? Or was it as a guard?
No, as a guard. He was playing left guard.
As a
He's
guard,
actually only
played
taken less
tackle.
than 15 snaps on the right side, which is concerning. For sure concerning. But I think he's a guy
if
that
he's
going to
be a swing tackle.
Yeah, he's
for
play
sure.
Both. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'd go get somebody. I wouldn't sit around and just be like, oh, this is fine. I think that there are options out there. I think I think backup tackle right now, unless Logan Lee and pull up his name one more time here. Good old Susie Odamewa is playing offense as well, which maybe that's what happened. Maybe Mike Tomlin wrote names down and it just said T, and he said, yeah, we need a couple of those guys. It sounds good. And he messed up. Maybe that's what happened. I do think that they will look, not positive they're going to add. I think Calvin Anderson's contract makes it difficult for them to get rid of him. But I do think that they go out there and they see what's up in the next 24 hours. Cody Silva, why'd the defense look so unimpressive in Carolina? I was so cool with Mason being QB1 before we got Rodgers, but yikes, guy's an interception machine. I'm not ruling out Mason. I think he didn't play the greatest, but I'm not done with Mason just yet. I think Mason's a good quarterback, a reliable backup quarterback. I think part of me's holding on to that because I talked really highly about how Will Howard could be the next Mason Rudolph. And, I want the bar to be kind of higher than what we saw in the last 2 preseason games. That being said, I still think he's your best option as your QB2. Why'd they look so unimpressive in Carolina? To be honest with you, I think for one, you were shaking off the rust, and 2, nobody wanted to be out there. I think, guys were just like, yeah, man, you want to know what I don't want to do right now? Get hurt. Like that sounds great to me. And it sucks, but I think a lot of business decisions were made in that game.
I mean, I don't blame anyone for not wanting to tackle, Mark Wahlberg from Invincible, in the first series where the defense is out there. Like, I just don't think it's like, I get it, right? Like, they played 9 snaps or something. That's what Jalen Ramsey was on the field for. Like, you're not getting the 100% all out crazy dog that is Jalen Ramsey in 9 snaps in a final preseason game. I put no stock into what transpired on the field against the Carolina Panthers in that final preseason game. It was basically a glorified scrimmage, and take it for what you will. Now, if this is what happens week 1 against the Jets, we're sitting here saying, man, remember when Cody said that they were really unimpressive? Might just be the case. But for right now, I'm just like, hey, it's a preseason game. No one wanted to play, like Noah said. Jalen Ramsey wanted to slam someone on the ground, and that's it. He got to do it, and then we move on.
And that was it. He was like, dude, I've been waiting I can't slam Jalen Warren on the ground. That's mean. That's not what we do here. Yeah, I agree.
Took his lunch money.
Eddie the First, a.k.a. Salad Shooter McGavin. I still haven't watched Happy Gilmore 2. Don't blame me. Right now I'm currently making my way through Emily in Paris. And I'm only doing that because my wife watched it like 8 months ago for like the 4th time. And I was like, oh, this is a pretty good show. And then I was like 4 days ago, I was like, oh, I should watch this. I should watch this. So I'll catch up.
Who her dad is in real life? Emily Collins?
No, I have no idea.
Phil Collins?
Damn, that's sick. That's super sick, actually. Shout out. That made the show cool. Also, shout out to Travis Hunter and Taylor Swift, who I texted the Kansas City Chiefs writer for Sports Illustrated and said, hey, dude, just in case you were wondering, I will write that story for you. All I require is $1 for every 1 million page views that it does, because it will do a kabillion page views. That's how many people care. My sister-in-law broke the news to me. That's wild. That's wild. Shout out. And
she transcends sports.
Yeah, for sure. Just tell the people they want to know Cole Holcomb is safe, right? Cole Holcomb's here, my friend. Yeah. We're good. We're alive. Cole Holcomb is going to be fine. He actually looked great this offseason, to be honest. I'm very excited for what Cole Holcomb brings to this defense. I think Cole Holcomb's like a really good player that got beat up, and I'm very excited to see what he can, not really what he can do, but I'm just excited about the three of them. I think the Steelers have a 3-headed monster at inside linebacker. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, you have to be. I think Cole Holcomb is going to surprise a lot of people. He's going to be a comeback player, someone who turns a lot of heads because, we're looking at 24 months since he played an NFL snap, like an official NFL snap. So I'm excited to see him in week 1, and I'm excited to see him continue to be a contributor for the defense in 2025.
For sure. Cody Silva here. People are attached to Beanie Bishop like Rock Taylor. Well, we'll see what happens. I do think Beanie is a candidate to make the practice squad. I also think he's going to end up somewhere. I think somebody's going to look at it. But here's the thing, dude. Every fan base, every team has their Beanie Bishop. Everybody's got a Beanie Bishop. You know what I mean? And it's cool he impressed for a little while last year, but the writing was on the wall, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Artisanal Bully Kennel, that bet of ours is looking pretty in my favor with Harmon out for a bit, and Black batting down more balls than an MLB game, not to mention dem sacks. Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't remember what I have to give. I want to say it's I got to say it's a jersey, maybe. Maybe I have to shave something. I don't remember, to be honest with you. What I don't remember what I do when I lose. But look, Wyatt Black's a stud. I'm so excited. Yes, I'll be reminded. I'll be reminded for sure. But I think Wyatt Black is so good. And better than that, did you watch his Cam Hayward podcast that dropped today?
No, I haven't yet.
You should.
I'm sure
20
it's
minutes. Yeah, it's 20 minutes long. Oh. You should go watch it. It's him and Keanu Benton, and it is awesome. Like it is. He does the whole thing shirtless. Like it's just
free in the gut again.
Free the gut, dude. Free the gut. He's a free the gut kind of guy. The Belly Selly, man. We need to come up with a nickname for him.
Belly Selly.
I love him, dude. If you haven't seen the best part of him, if you haven't seen it, is him carrying everybody's pads. So he's got like 11 shoulder pads on his shoulders. All you can see is his eyes and then his gut. That's all you see. And it's just so legendary. Like the guy's a stud, man. The guy's a stud. Shout out Wyatt Black. I think he's actually going to be really good. Like I am very excited for what Wyatt Black brings to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see how it transitions. Jared, can we forget about wide receiver 2? We've done good with Warris at quarterback. Our receiving group is not bad. We need to focus on offensive line. Y'all's thoughts. I will be honest. I think I disagree with this one. And only in the case of, if you told me stop worrying about wide receiver and you left it at we've done good with worse at quarterback, our receiving group is not bad, I'd say, you know what? I'm not going to argue against you. Could they upgrade? Sure. Do you have to force them to upgrade? No. I don't. I think the Steelers' offensive line's fine. They've done what they needed to do. Is it going to be great? We'll find out, but they've invested everything that they need to invest in my opinion. I thought you froze there for a second. I thought you just...
No. I'm sorry. I truly am like
the brain was just like I was like, the
brain spinning on the AST happy hour is getting me good. The Diet Pepsi is running through me. And here's the offensive line, I think, does make or break the Steelers offense potentially. I disagree. I think I'm in the same camp as Noah because over the last couple of weeks of training camp, in the joint practice with the Steelers against the Buccaneers, I really was quite impressed with what the offensive line has done. And I think Broderick Jones in particular has answered a lot of questions so far, and now it's, I'm ready to let him test that. I'm ready to let that play out in week 1 and see. I think Troy Fautanu is going to be a stud on the right side, and it's just a matter of him getting on the field. So I certainly agree with Jared here in that there is a lot of question marks, and there is a lot of potential issues that could arise if this doesn't go well and if they underperform.
For sure.
But I think they're going to be a good unit. I think I've seen enough to feel confident in that right now until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Apologies again for the super long pause. I could not make up my mind.
It's all right, dude. I'm getting called out right now because I called Travis Kelce Travis Hunter, which is, we're close except for everything. So, we were that close. It's fine, dude. It's fine. We're losing it. Shout out Poke Salad who let me know. That's awesome. Look at I agree. I think you make a lot of really good points on if it works, the Steelers did everything they could. And I trust that. All you can do is invest in your team. That's all you can do is say, I've built this. Is it going to work? We're going to find out. The Steelers built it. Is it going to work? We're going to find out. If it doesn't, they have nowhere to go. There is not anybody else that they could turn to say, oh, save us. No, it's over. But I don't blame them for the way that they did it. I think that they did it actually really well. It's just a matter of if it's going to work, which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. They're not the only team that finds these struggles. It's just a matter of finding out if it's going to work, and we'll see. Chris, did we make a mistake not signing Isaiah Bond at wide receiver? Shout out. I don't know. Did he make the Browns roster?
The Browns signed him.
I know they signed him. Did he make? He had to have made the 53-man roster. You'd have to imagine, right? He signed a 2-year.
They gave him guaranteed money when they signed him.
Yeah, true. It was only a $2 million deal, though, on 2 years or something like that. But I agree. Look, at Isaiah Bond, I think, is a very talented player. But I also, am not... I never thought Isaiah Bond was, this crazy first-round talent that everybody made him out to be. I thought he was significantly less than all of these first-round guys. And I don't know. I don't think that it was a mistake not signing him, to be honest with you. I think that it comes with a lot of questions and baggage that you are not looking for. And I also think that if you had to negotiate for him, if you had to make an offer bigger than what the Browns were going to make, I think the answer to that is no. I wouldn't even if it was as simple as you get to pick whether or not you're going to sign him for zero money or not, okay, there's an argument to be made. But if it's everything else that goes into it, no, I think the easy answer is no. And if he doesn't work out, which there's a chance he does not play much this season, if at all, then nobody cares,
He did make their team. Just
good to know.
In FYI, not a mistake. I can't, I saw nothing about him that was worth dealing with whatever is happening before behind the scenes here. He's got some talent for sure. I remember seeing a lot of stuff comparing him and like Matthew Golden and stuff like that when
Yeah,
around
not the
draft
same.
time, and I'm like, that's not comparable. Like Matthew
No.
Golden's a stud. Isaiah Bond never really had that for me, and he just comes with baggage that is not outweighed by any sort of production uh, on an NFL field. So no, I don't think they missed the boat. They're entering desperate times in a desperate situation for sure as far as Steelers
Yeah.
wide receivers go, but I don't think Isaiah Bond. I'd rather take anyone else who got cut than him.
Yeah, I just think if there were no other options, which there aren't, then okay. But like, you sign Trey Palmer or Malachi Corley, like, I don't know. I think you're taking the same amount of risk with less questions to be answered at the same time. Michelle, did they
Definitely.
cut Leota? I thought he did well. Yeah, they did. He'll probably end up on the practice squad. Just no room for him. Jack Sawyer and Nick Herbig are the backups.
Mhm.
I just don't think the Steelers had the room for him. He is a really good player, and a good guy, good teammate. He's really well respected in the locker room. But again, like there's no space for him. I would imagine he ends up on the practice squad, and the Steelers look to keep him around if he doesn't end up anywhere else. But I do think he was a guy that did very well for himself out here, and I would not be surprised if he signed elsewhere. Chris here, guys.
Agreed. I hope he ends up on the practice
sorry,
squad.
good.
Sorry.
My bad.
No, just
no,
hope he
my
ends up
bad.
on the practice squad.
As we do.
All good. I'm joking.
I'll tell you a story about him. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but he was in the locker room the other day. They were watching. There was a bunch of them watching the Iowa State game, and he was bragging. He's like, "Yo, my boy's out playing on Iowa State. Blah blah blah. He's gonna be so good." And everybody's talking smack, and he was like, "Oh, yo, he just got a sack. He just got a sack," and got like 7 dudes to go over. And he's like, "Nah, I'm just joking with you." And then everybody left. I thought it was awesome. Shout out, dude. He is a good guy for sure. Chris, the starting online looks good, but no depth on the exterior for sure. I like Ryan McCollum and I like Spencer Anderson. I think both of them are perfectly fine depth to have. On the outside, I do not trust Calvin Anderson and I do not trust Andrus Pete unless you feel otherwise.
No, I think the tackle depth is a problem. Yeah, unless they think I don't think Tomlin views Andrews Pete as this versatile swing tackle.
No.
As you've mentioned multiple times, he wasn't really even sure who he was whenever he first arrived in the Steelers facilities. So I'm not really sure if they believe in Andrews Pete that much. Probably believe in Calvin Anderson even less, to be quite honest. And so, yeah, I mean, if Broderick Jones struggles, if Fautanu struggles, if either of them struggle with injuries, knock on wood, you are in a really desperate situation as far as the offensive line. And the running game, which we haven't even talked about today, is a huge concern. And
Yes.
it would be an even bigger one if they had, offensive line issues at the start of the season as well.
Yes, I agree. Roger, the Clowns just released Deontay Johnson. I know the issues he had, but compared to what we could have, we could have be a gamble worth taking, get him for cheap. We just addressed this a little earlier. I'm fully on board. Go sign Deontay Johnson. I also was a big fan of Deontay as like a person to get to talk to in the locker room. Me and him had good conversations. I thought he was a good dude. People do not agree with me. I don't care. I'm pro. Go get Deontay Johnson. Everyone, and I mean everyone, but me and you, Roger, are anti. Go get Deontay Johnson. And let me tell you this, okay? I'm always against the grain. Always against the grain, my friend. Always against the grain. Rocky Mountain Oyster Salad, Taylor, Travis Swift. We both lived out here. When Taylor Swift came, we both lived in the same. If for anybody who doesn't know, me and Jacob somehow, without doing this on purpose, live in the same neighborhood. Great neighborhood. So if anybody catches like the walks over and Some people like try to identify where I am. I try to hide street signs. It's a little creepy, but not those people. It's not the people trying to identify. You guys are cool, and that seems fun. It's the random people that don't comment but are like, "Oh, I know where you are," and I'm like, "Stop, just stop, leave me alone." Okay, this is scary. But Jacob's by me, so go find him, not me. Anyways. I don't know if you realize, but I have so much respect for Taylor because I've never seen anybody in my life shut down a city the way that Taylor Swift shut down the city of Pittsburgh when she showed up here. Like, it was we have a coffee shop by us that I go to every day, and I'm not going to shout it out because it's my coffee shop. Okay. I can't have this happen again because when Taylor was here, the line was out the door and around the block, and I was so angry at everyone here. So mad respect to good old Travis Swift.
It's called Starbucks. Ever heard of it?
Unbelievable. I do.
Little
actually
boutique coffee shop.
Look at, dude, for anybody who budgets out there or whatever, I'm a big budget guy, and in my budget line it says Noah has $11 every day to spend on coffee because I buy 2 coffees twice a day. I stop at Starbucks for my $4 coffee, and then I stop at a coffee shop for my expensive coffee because I am addicted. Poke Salad, 1 month membership. Shout out to Big Strack and Jay Turry. I kind of like that. Anybody else call you Jay Turry growing up?
Nope.
Shout out.
Shout
out to Poke Salad.
I got called a different variation of my last name sometimes. Growing up, but I can't say it on the podcast. I won't say it on the podcast.
I got called Stud growing up, so you know what I mean?
I used to get called the worst nickname. It was Handsome.
Chris, Carolina stinks. Is Adam Thielen a wide receiver trade option? I think he is, but I think he's going to end up in Minnesota from everything that I'm hearing. Made a couple of calls the last 2 days, just kind of talking, not really searching for anything. A lot of people across the NFL landscape believe he's going to end up in Minnesota and finish his career there, which, you know, is where we'll be. Coleslaw, aka Berg fam. Some of these moves are a little puzzling. Need another defensive back. Need a wide receiver 2. Can drop 1 lineman when Harmon returns. Shout out the picnic pack. Punturi salad. Dude, what? It's like I don't even exist over here. No, shout out my guy. Shout out Coleslaw. I do think they are puzzling. I think we went through this, but we'll go through it again. What's your most puzzling move by the Pittsburgh Steelers today?
It was defensive line at first. It remains defensive line because when I answered it the first time, I did not know that Esezi Odomewu had made the team. So still defensive line, still one too many cooks in the kitchen there. But I think that's what sticks out to me the most.
Cool. I would say it's Chuck Clark, and I just can't get over it.
That's a big one too.
Situation. Yeah. Can't get over it. Nate needs more salad. I said from the start of camp, no wide receiver additions until midseason, and he will struggle to jump on the moving train. F it, throw Jacoby Punturi in there. That would be so awesome. Mike Williams at the break. That's what I'm saying, dude. Mike Williams at the break. Eddie the First, a.k.a. Salad Shooter McGavin. Afternoon, boys. Can we just start the damn season already or what? We're 2 weeks away. Just booked my flight out to New York. Super pumped to spend a night in Newark, New Jersey. Woo woo. Not really that excited, but I do love. I actually hate MetLife. Is the worst area ever. If anybody's like from there, I'm sorry, but boring, dude. It's like nothing. It's the stadium and a hotel, and then there's nothing going on. And I'm like, you should not even be close to being able to be called New York. It's just not. It's not even the same, man. It's not even the same. Chris, Noah, watch out for the stalkers at Starbucks. Look, man, this is you never know, man. People are scary. Poke Salad. What up, Big Strack and Jay Torrey? I think Jacob needs some zesty Italian because he's a little bit bland on the. Oh my gosh, dude! Poke Salad. Don't be bringing the hate, brother. What are we doing?
That hurts. That hurts. I respect it.
No, what are we doing, Maddie? Well, I'm about to work out my question so y'all can answer. Is Alec Pierce or Trey Palmer? Which one is more likely? I'll let you answer that one. And you know what? Bring some zest, man. You know what I mean? Bring some zest.
Let me sprinkle a little zest on there. The more likely option is Trey Palmer. He's can be had for nothing. Alec Pierce might be available. No, I think it's Trey Palmer. I would love to. I'm trying to find some zest for my boy Poke Salad. I think Alec Pierce would be a nice addition, but I think Trey Palmer could be on this team and signing tomorrow, and it would just kind of solve all the issues and be nice and tidy, and then they don't have to worry about it until they're acquiring one before the trade deadline again. So I think the more likely option is Trey Palmer. The better option would be Alec Pierce by, a country mile.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I agree with both things. I think that Trey Palmer is the more likely one, significantly more likely. And when it comes to who's better, I do think it is Alex Pierce for sure. Maddie, once again, what other additions do you see us adding? I see the Steelers adding a defensive back. I think that's where my guess is. I think it's going to be Chuck Clark or somebody of the Chuck Clark demeanor. But I do think a defensive back is on their way to Pittsburgh. Corner or safety, doesn't matter, but I think somebody ends up there.
I hope. I mean, the depth at safety and defensive back is just not. The cornerback specifically is fine, but there's just you are banking on Juan Thornhill being a 17-game player and starter and being that guy he was with the Kansas City Chiefs, which I've seen a lot of really good things from him this summer, but that's a huge gamble to put on him with no backup plan. So I think Chuck Clark is who I foresee coming back into the secondary, but I hesitate to call it an addition because it'll just be some roster finagling to make sure there's a spot available for him.
Yeah, I agree. Larry here. Any update on the Will Howard injury? No, nothing yet. He's still not throwing. Mike Tomlin said he'll be back very soon. I expect him to end up on IR, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers will go from there. But I do not see Will Howard starting the season on the Pittsburgh Steelers active roster. Cody Silva, Jacob, how much better is the team without Cordero Patterson? I might be the only one happy that Trice made it over Bishop. Trice will have some more opportunities. You think Cordero Patterson plays in 2025? Go ahead. I'll let you answer that. Say it loud and proud, and, let's tag him while we're at it.
Tag him. Let him know. This is what I think about always. No, why would Cordero Patterson play football in 2025? He was given some sort of roster bonus after March 1st by being on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a comfortable way to ride out the rest of the year. I would be shocked if another team finds him to be a valuable addition. That being said, if he wants to hang out and chill, I'll find time in my schedule.
For sure.
But, the Steelers are much better without having him on there. That being said, it's not like this running back room and wide receivers room is brimming with talent. And we can be like, thank goodness Cordero Patterson was cut and they saved a couple $1 million so they could bring in Scotty Miller. It's just,
shout out.
They're better without him, but not much.
Shout out. Nick, I'm assuming that Cameron Johnston was cut to create some cap space for an incoming wide receiver. I do think it was cap related, but I don't think it was to add a wide receiver. I think that Cameron Johnston and Corliss Waitman were very close in a competition. Cameron Johnston cost $2 million more. The Steelers decided to move on. I think that's what it came down to. Corliss Waitman's cheaper, younger. I think in the landscape of the NFL, I think that just made more sense.
Yeah, maybe it's for a defensive back like Noah was talking about. Maybe, that $2 million could be useful in rounding out the roster. I hope it's a wide receiver. I hope it's a swing tackle that feels more fitting for what they want to do. But yeah, if they can use it appropriately to improve the roster and actually address a need, one of the many we've discussed here in this happy hour, great. Otherwise, it's just a move to save money for frugality's sake, which I don't agree with.
Danny, are you guys looking forward to Wyatt Black's career as I am? This dude looks like he's going to be the staple of the defense for years. If Derek Harmon is out, because we already talked Wyatt Black, so I'll give you a nice, easy one. How many games, if Derek Harmon is to miss extended games, how many games until Wyatt Black starts over Isaiah Loudermilk?
1 at most.
Yep.
If it's
and
more
that was
than
my
1,
answer.
we
That
riot.
was my answer.
We riot as a picnic pack.
We
ride it
show
on.
up, bellies out, pal. Bellies out, free in the gut, and we riot, dude. Just a bunch of half shirtless people walking down the street. Love it. Me too.
Exactly.
Stuart, we'll finish it off on this bad boy. Hindsight is always 2020, but to me, not having a confirmed replacement for George Pickens is the biggest offseason blunder. What would you consider to be the Steelers' biggest offseason error? It's a great one. I'll let you go first.
Wow. That's a great question, Stuart.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, there isn't one that like stands out immediately to me. I think I agree that sending out George Pickens without a sort of quote unquote replacement at the ready has come back to bite them, but I don't think it was like the quote unquote biggest blunder. I would have loved for them to have found a way to get a proven offensive tackle earlier in the year, earlier in the summer, or someone to contend with Broderick Jones on a more serious level than, you know, Dylan Cook, Andrews Pete, Calvin Anderson, etc. So I would consider maybe that the biggest blunder is just not fully addressing the offensive deficiencies in a way that feels satisfactory before the regular season begins. But I think if it's not that, I'm not sure what else it would be.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Is not having a backup. You said wide receiver, correct? I blacked out there for a minute.
No, well, I mean that's a blunder for sure, but I think not just like having an
offensive
quality
tackle
depth at offensive line.
I agree.
Yeah,
Like,
offensive
I think
tackle
that's
specifically.
And yeah, I can't come up with another one, right? Like it's those two. It's significantly more offensive tackle than I think it is wide receiver, but I don't think that there's anything else there. Like I just look at it and say offensive tackle is the biggest one, not having a replacement option there, and then wide receiver, I guess. But they tried, they had a plan. It's just not working out in their favor. Maybe it is. Who knows? I think that's it. You know what I mean? Like besides that, the Steelers got options. They got a roster that's there, and they've done some things, and I don't think they've missed on anything. You know, I don't think there's been that big like, what the hell are you doing? How did you not go get Jalen Ramsey, who was available for trade? You know what I mean? I think that was all there.
Right.
So I think you two both hit it on the head here. I think it's wide receiver, and I think it's offensive tackle. I'd rank offensive tackle over wide receiver, which I think is really weird, but I think when it comes down to it, if one of those guys goes down, you are in a lot of trouble if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. All right.
Yep.
With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to the first AST Happy Hour. Shout out. I couldn't drink more of this because I started to feel the heart race a little bit too fast. But it was a good one. We hope everybody enjoyed it, enjoyed us, and enjoys the Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster. As always, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/allsteelerstalk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, we'll be back tomorrow morning for the flagship show. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.